All right, guys, we are here to this morning. Market's up a little bit, honestly. Will the crash continue today is the real question. Yesterday morning, market's up a little bit. Honestly, yesterday the market kind of ended green. I think it was like slightly green. Stocks futures are rebounding following big losses, primarily due to optimism surrounding tariff negotiations this morning. Investors hopeful that discussions may ease the recent tensions initiated by the current president's aggressive tariff policies. Scott Benson's indication that Japan may be the first in line for a trade deal has bolstered market sentiment this morning. Tech stocks like Nvidia, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Google have seen pre-market gains. European markets are also up slightly. Indices like Germany's DAX and Britain's FTSE 100 up about 1%. The Nikkei's 225 surged 6% green, reflecting global market rebound. The big one you want to watch overseas is China. Their tariffs are going to be some of the most influential. So those are ones we definitely want to pay attention to. But how you guys doing this morning? Vote in the poll. Are we going to go red or green today? Green or red, bull or bearish? I think it might be a little bit too large here. Let me make myself a little bit smaller. There we go. We had Walgreens report earnings this morning as well here. They posted 63 cents versus 54 cents expected. Revenue of 38.59 billion versus 38.17 billion expected. They didn't do fiscal year 25 guidance, citing a pending Sycamore deal. Here's Walgreens, Buddha Alliance. They didn't really move much on this. And we do have earnings season kind of edging closer right now, to be honest. So we do have earnings season. We got Tilray, Walgreens. Tilray's this morning. It's supposed to be at 7 a.m., but it's late. Let's see if Tilray came out with their numbers. Tilray's a cannabis stock mostly. Tilray did post. They posted Tilray posted 87-cent loss per share for the third quarter, 185.8 million in revenue. Cut 2025 view to revenue of 850 to 900. Quarter 3 sales came in at 185.78. Missed 210 estimates. So they missed a lot of stuff. Tilray, I'm guessing, is down pretty big, right? They're not really down that much overnight. Could be worse. I guess the biggest question I should have asked is the crash over this morning? Like, is the crash done? Is the question I should be asking here, right? Is this crash over with this morning? I don't know. What's up, Goose? Dead cat bounce? Maybe. What's your opinion in the crash? Is the crash done? I really don't know, man. Honestly, I hope it is. Yeah, I hope it is. But who knows, man? We don't know. I mean, we're definitely not up enough in which we can say reasonably that it's over yet. We just don't know yet. The bounce, like, just to put this in perspective, everybody. Here's the latest dip. This is the crash that we've seen. It's about a 26% drop at the lows for the Nasdaq, the NQ here. Although we are back up a lot. Like, you know, we dropped down to 16,460 at the lows You know, one of the interesting things though, guys, is like I drew this level here, the 16,460 level, and it looks like we bounced directly off of that. Let me make sure. Yeah, dude. So look, I drew this yellow line the day before yesterday. It might have been yesterday, and you know, but I drew this yellow line down here. So just to put this into perspective, right? Like this line right here, and you can kind of see how much we actually tested this line. Interesting. So we did follow that line very closely here. You can see it right here. 16.5 is the line, the level I talked about. It was 16.5. And but again, the question is, have we bounced back farther enough away from this level? You know, like this is a 30-minute chart. And so here's the big crash, pullback, whatever. And then here's the bounce back up here. So this is a nice bounce. It really is a good bounce. Like it's a solid bounce. It doesn't mean it's over yet though. You know, we got to wait for news. To be completely honest, the big news that we have going on this week is CPI inflation data. We got the Fed minutes tomorrow. We got CPI inflation data Thursday. We have PPI inflation Friday. We've got University of Michigan consumer sentiment data. And so it's not a small day, or it's not a small week. Like we've got some economic reports at the end of this week that you want to just be aware of, because if we get high inflation data now, people are going to be yelling stagflation. They're going to be panicking. It's not going to necessarily be what a lot of people want. And when we look at rate cut expectations here, you know, rate cut expectations have gone back down, you know, so I mean, they're still up relative to where they were a few days ago. But at this point in time, there's 34% likelihood of a cut. 34% likelihood of a cut in May next month. Still a 66% chance of a pause in May. So these numbers are going back down a little bit. If we take a look at bond yields as another example of like stuff going down in markets, bond yields. There we go. If you take a look at bond yields, like T and X, yesterday was one of the most volatile days in stock market history as well. Bond yields currently at, you know, let me see what they're at this morning. Bond yields are currently at 4.18%. So they're actually higher than this. They're actually about here. So bond yields are opening up slightly higher. They're about right here, really. They haven't opened up yet this morning, but yeah, for T and X that is. But bond yields are higher too. So, you know, we got Apple rebounding here. You know, we got a lot of tech bouncing back, which is good. But again, Apple's gonna be one of those ones that is just in trouble from tariffs if it doesn't get its, you know, if we don't start finding a deal with China. To be honest, if we don't find good deals with China, that's something you want to watch. SPY 400 probably. Yeah, yesterday was one of the most volatile days in market history, in all honesty. Yesterday we opened up red, rebounded all the way back up. So yesterday, just to put this in perspective here, like diving into yesterday's action, one of the most volatile days in stock market history. We opened up at 17,420. So we opened up here, or the day ended here at 17,420. We opened down all the way to 16.5, huge percentage drop. And then throughout the day yesterday, we went up and down and then all the way back up to way over where we opened. We actually ended slightly green on the day. Very fun day yesterday. I don't know if today's going to be the same. We don't really have, let me see what kind of reports we got today. Yeah, we got like NFIB optimism. We got Fed President Mary Daly speaking. Austin Goolsbee speaking this tonight. And then tomorrow we got the Fed minutes report. But again, the big day is later this week. Later this week. Today is Tuesday. Yeah, we got like daily speaking. Nothing else really. Yeah, we're kind of in the slow period after this week for a period of time. I'm curious to see what mortgage rates show up tomorrow at. Yeah, again, I don't know what the market's going to do, chat. I really genuinely have no idea what the market is going to do. Whether it's going to go up, down, sideways. This is one of those weeks where, nobody knows. You had a lot of people that thought we would crash down all day yesterday, and we didn't. And I'm sure there's people that think we're going to do the same today, and nobody really knows. We got to wait and see. The big reports this week: Fed minutes tomorrow, 2 p.m., CPI 8:30 Thursday morning, jobless claims Thursday morning, PPI inflation Friday, consumer sentiment Friday. Yeah. And then next week we got retail sales, import exports. That's about it. We don't really have much going on next week. It's the holiday week. And then I think the week after that we got like GDP data maybe potentially dropping. Let me see. Yeah, I have to go back and look and see what we got last week. What was last week? Okay, so this week is that. Next week is that. Last week we had JOLTS, jobless claims, non-farm payrolls. Yeah, so not next week, but the week after next, we're going to have, yeah, not this week, but the week after next. Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah. Not this week, but the week or not next week, but the week after next, we're gonna have GDP and PCE data come out. That's a big report. Market showed that it's just waiting for any good news to bounce. That fake tweet came out. Yeah, Nasdaq making moves. So we are now funded in 5 funded accounts. Green on all the ones we've traded on. We're green. We've traded on 3 of them. We haven't traded on 2 of them. Somebody said the SPY might actually test 400. I mean, anything's possible. SPY. I mean, it's possible. It's just not super probable, but it's possible. I remember when the SPY was $400. So, I mean, but it could happen. It just doesn't mean it will. But it could, I don't want it to, but it could, Yeah, and I think everybody needs to understand that. Everybody needs to understand a couple things. Number one, what we're seeing right now is pretty normal. right? Like, this is pretty standard in markets. Like, every 10, 15 years, you get a big pullback, a big correction. Honestly, it's healthy to a certain extent because the Nasdaq is not going to go straight up. And so you got to look at it from that perspective. It's not the end of the world. It's not doom and gloom, you know. Like, in the end, these type of things are pretty healthy. So U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent says tariff negotiations are a result of massive inbound calls, not the market, according to CNBC interview. Yeah, I'm looking up other news. China starts buying Indian rapeseed meal to replace Canadian supplies, according to Reuters, citing industry sources. They're buying 52 tons of Indian rapeseed meal after Beijing imposed tariffs on Canadian supplies. Palantir. A lot of stuff's green today, man. And honestly, I'm curious to see what we get. I'm ready for it. So is this officially a bear market? I mean, we have been, it depends on what you classify as a bear market. Like, we've been downtrending in the SPY for a month and a half. So, I mean, like, again, here's the issue that I have. And I'm not saying this is UK. I'm really not. I'm not saying this is you. What I'm saying is that something that I see pretty regularly on like my streams right now is I see a lot of people that said the market was going to crash in the beginning to middle of last year, you know, try to be like, aha, see, I told you. And it's like, well, you were a year late, you know. And again, last year we had one of the strongest markets in history. Like, we had one of the biggest percentage gains in markets. And so us pulling back some now, you know, I'm not going to say it's healthy, but the Nasdaq prior to this, one of the reasons I told people in December that we might correct, you know, and a crash is a type of correction, just to clarify. One of the reasons I told people that is because the Nasdaq was up obscene amounts. And this is exactly the word I used last year. I said the Nasdaq is up obscene amounts. I don't trust it. It's, you know, it needs to correct. It's healthy for it to correct. Like, we need pullbacks. And so I'm not saying this dip is over. These pullbacks are over. I'm not saying we bounce back. I have no idea what we do here. All I'm saying is this kind of needed to happen. And so certain people are going to act like it's the end of the world and, oh no, it's doom and gloom. It's the end of the world. That's something that we see pretty regularly in markets. But this needed to happen, right? Like, the Nasdaq was never going to hold those gains like that. It needed to correct. It needed to come back down. And business as usual will start back up probably within, like, something that, like, I think we're going to be back to where we were within a year. Maybe earlier than that. Probably earlier than that. And so it's not really something that I think we should freak out about or panic. You know, it's not really something that arguing about is necessarily healthy either. When do you guys think it comes back? I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying yet, Fee. We'll see. I don't know yet. I'll probably start buying a little bit, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait a couple days to let my senses adjust to what's going on, and we'll figure it out. I don't know yet. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say the same things every day. Like, we're teaching people educational stuff, and so I'd rather repeat the same things over and over again, let people really digest it versus, you know, only saying it once, it's, 7:20 in the morning. And we're going to keep repeating it. You could always go watch somebody else. It's all good. Yeah. No, for sure, Kay. That's what I'm saying. I'm not necessarily talking to you about it. I'm just kind of... I'm trying to tell people, like, I've seen a lot of people... I'm not going to say they've been toxic, be like, aha, see, I told you guys that we were crashed last year, And again, I'm not even saying y'all didn't. All I'm saying is, like, this kind of needed to happen. Where's gold at right now? Let me look. We're at 30.28. So, I mean, gold is still close to all-time highs. Are they selling silver at Costco? Yeah, I mean, most people make their money with precious metals by selling it to consumers with a big markup. Like, they've got these investment boxes, like, where you can buy gold and silver, and they're marked up ridiculous amounts. People still pay for them, though. Yeah, I mean, people who call these market crashes, if you throw darts at a dartboard, eventually you're going to hit it. And I think a lot of people, the point I was trying to make is, like, a lot of people have called all these different crashes over the last 4 or 5 years, and they really want to be right. And so finally they're like, see, I told you guys we would crash. And it's like, yeah, but you're still 1 for 5, I don't know if that's necessarily accurate, but, it's human nature, I guess. Spanish government approves $2.08 billion in new defense spending. Where's Bitcoin at? Bitcoin's still under 80 at 79.5 thousand. Stimulus and AI had us grow way too fast during QT. I'm assuming you mean QE, right? QE is stimulus. QT is actually a restrictive monetary policy. So QE is printing money through creating online bank reserves and then using those bank reserves to buy up bonds and other and MBSs and other stuff, and injecting liquidity into the economy through economic stimulation measures like that. QT is the opposite of that, which is a restrictive monetary policy that's really trying to push the economy down a little bit, restrict liquidity, reduce the Fed's balance sheet, which provides liquidity. And so QT is kind of a restrictive monetary policy. And so I'm guessing you mean QE. Don't. The fact that the market bounced on the fake news yesterday restored my confidence. Maybe. Yeah, I gotta pull up Discord, Pawn. Let me pull it up now. Alright, so it looks like Elon... Pawn sent me something this morning that said Elon made it direct appeals to the president to reverse new tariffs after the president unveiled a 10% baseline tariff on all imports to the U.S. along with higher duties on other countries. They didn't immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment, but apparently they say Musk made a direct appeal against these tariffs. Health insurance stocks rise on best case scenario. The 5% average increase, roughly double of what was proposed, could ease some pressure on insurers' profit margins, which have been, bad since 2020. Yeah, according to CNN's analysis, the first ex post to claim that Hassad said the president would consider a 90-day pause on tariffs came at 10:11 a.m. Eastern from an account called Hammer Capital with the handle your favorito, which has barely 1,000 followers. At about 10:12 a.m., CNN's Vanessa Yurkovich, who was on the floor of the NYSE, said that cheers had broken out as stocks and indexes and indices were already recovering from early morning lows. Walter Bloomberg, which is an account with a much larger following that uses the handle Delta1, copy and pasted the original rumor along with the siren emoji at 10:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on CNBC, anchors were seemingly baffled, wondering why the turnaround had happened. And so again, this is one of the false alarms yesterday on the upside that caused this rebound in markets. Very interesting how this stuff starts. The rumor mill, bro. The rumor mill, man. They just take off with stuff. Interesting. That's definitely interesting for sure. Is it time to buy in chat? Let me know. Yes or no? What do you guys think? Is it time to buy? I don't know yet, dude. I really don't. Yeah, I'm looking at some other stuff, but buy small, yes, buy, TA says. Oh, too much fear for me, time to buy. DCA, not over yet, hell no. All right, guys. So, ooh. Yeah, man. Honestly, we'll see what the market does. The market's starting to bounce back, though. Look at the SPY. It's up to 515s. Nvidia bouncing back. And Nvidia is one of the big bounce backs. This thing has gotten all the way down to 83. 83? Nvidia really got that low? $83 a share? I might have FOMO not buying it at that level. So Howard Marks went on Bloomberg and said tariffs are changing things yesterday. Yeah, I might have FOMO at that level. I don't know if I will. I really might. I can see it now. Look at that, 8360s here, 8360s. I might regret not buying it. Nvidia specifically at that level. That's a very low level for Nvidia. I don't know what the PE ratio is going to be at that level, but I feel like I might regret not buying it. Again, I'm going to wait though. I need a couple days of confirmation first. Yeah, no, it's already 70-30, basically 65-35 for a pause in May next month. So not looking very probable for a cut as of now. But if we get low inflation data, right? Like we get lower inflation data, like good reports there, it might be fine. Like we might be okay. And we'll just see what kind of news we get today, guys. So we don't really have any economic reports. All we really have is all we really got is breaking news that comes out. And so we're gonna try to watch this, and of course we're gonna cover this as soon as it drops. But a lot of stuff's bouncing back. Look at Google, Apple, Palantir all the way back up to 81s. IONQ up there as well. GameStop up to 25s almost. Alibaba up to 105s. Bitcoin at almost 80K. Gold sitting at 30.27s here. Look at the SPY rip. So look at the SPY move here. SPY up to 516s now. 516s. Nvidia again climbing all the way back to over 100. Apple at 185s. But there wasn't any emergency meeting. Originally, I thought, me and everybody else thought it was an emergency meeting, but apparently it was just a regularly scheduled meeting that was scheduled on April 3rd. So gold is at 30.27s. So it's kind of middle range. Like it's actually been decreasing. Gold kind of looks like the rest of the market that's down over the last few weeks. I think even tariff fears are stroking fears in gold. Nobody knows what the market's gonna do or what gold's gonna do. Gold is kind of a different animal. It depends on what's going on. If inflation fears are high, gold might go up, but it depends. A lot of ifs. Is this the bounce back before the big dump? I don't know. Possibly. Yeah, so I'm looking up other news that comes out. We had Secretary Bessent speak earlier. Yeah, so Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says China's escalation was a, quote, big mistake. So Vitaly got arrested in the Philippines. Yeah, dude, AI has gotten so good, man, honestly. Yeah, so again, just to follow up on what the Treasury Secretary Bessent has been saying, he says China's escalation was a big mistake and they're playing with a losing hand. He says, quote unquote, this comes after China vowed to, quote, fight until the end last night in response to the threatening tariffs by another 50%. And so that's not good. Yeah, so the Chinese yuan this morning, about 5 hours ago, fell to the lowest level in 2 years. Yeah, so we'll see what this China news passes, or if the market comes back here. So the market started to rebound back up. Again, most major tech stocks. Where's Tesla at this morning? So Tesla, 240s. Tesla hit lows of 208s, still holding at these levels though. So one of the things that we are seeing, just to talk about some technicals here, is that Tesla had some big drops and now we are kind of consolidating sideways. So a lot of stuff looks like this right now too. If we put up like Nvidia here on a 4-hour chart, it's not quite the same, but we get big dips and now we got a little rebound here. If we look at the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq here, I'll put the Nasdaq up just because I like tracking the Nasdaq, and Nasdaq's one of the more volatile ones. Look at it, spiking almost up to 18,000, and I think 18,000 is probably a good level to watch for too here short term. But it kind of looks like Apple, because I think a lot of these drops are Apple influenced, because Apple has a lot of stuff overseas and margins are going to be a lot more expensive. Apple, Nasdaq, Nvidia. Taking a look at Apple here. And so a lot of stuff has rebounded back up some yesterday. Here's Apple. You know, Apple's one of the steepest declines too. And percentage wise, I think Apple's actually leading. Let me see, hold on. I don't know if it's leading the drop or lagging behind this drop. So 260 at the highs, 174 at the lows. So Apple total has dropped 33%. So it's leading on the downside for Apple. Makes sense. And so yeah, Nasdaq back up some today, Nvidia back up some today. My worry though, this is what I'm worried about. Later this week we got CPI inflation data. If that data comes in hot, like if we get high inflation data right now, that can be bad. And so I'm worried we might start to rebound and then CPI comes in hot and then it dumps the market back down. That's what I'm scared of. I'm also worried that GDP later this month can cause a negative reaction, because I think people are going to be surprised at what the GDP number is this month. I'm very curious to see what the expectations are for GDP at the end of this week, because at the end of this week we're going to get GDP expectations, and I think they're going to be either negative or close to it for this current, or for last quarter, for quarter one of 2025. And I think if people see that, they're going to freak out, and that's what I'm worried about. And so if that starts the market down, you know, it could continue this big drop. Yeah, I don't know if you should buy Coinbase or not. Not an investment professional, you know. Remember, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything I say here. Is entertainment only. My wins or losses may be done off stream. You might not see me do it. Don't copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations, guys. Not an investment professional. With that said, though, Nvidia moving back up. We got some big milestone levels. 18,000 on the Nasdaq, 102 on Nvidia. And again, you can kind of see how close the other levels. Remember yesterday or the day before yesterday, I think I talked about the 16.5 level right here. I talked about this level right here. Look at how well we actually followed that level. You know, Nvidia, that 102 level above us is interesting as well that we're about to run into. This 102 level on Nvidia, very interesting level here. And let's see if we can find one of those levels on Apple. Apple has had such a brutal tariff reaction, man. Look at this drop. This is the move from tariff. So here's April 2nd, way up here. And then look at Apple's response to the tariff news. Kind of a crazy drop, in all honesty, man. It's a big drop. It's not small. Yeah, I mean, nobody knows what the market's gonna do. We really don't, you know. Yeah, again, maybe I'm gonna have FOMO at Nvidia. I really don't know. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to crash everything. Again, I'm just speculating regarding CPI. I don't know if it's going to continue this red action. Genuinely no idea if the red action is going to continue from CPI inflation data. Genuinely no idea. I don't know whether the market's going to continue up, down, or sideways from this stuff. I really don't. And I think it could go either way. Nobody knows. I said the same thing about what? Palantir at 81s, 82s. And again, I tend to want the market to go up. I'm not honestly necessarily super worried about anything going on because I've been through pullbacks and market dips and crashes like this before. But the question with all this stuff is how long does it last? It'll eventually come back up, like bounce back. All right, White House CEA Chair Moran says non-tariff barrier from the U.S. are an issue. It's better to negotiate than not negotiate. All right, so China 10 hours ago calls for discussions to resolve conflicts. Did they ever update this news? Inflation data the next, yeah, so this Thursday and Friday we got CPI inflation data. CPI inflation data is honestly expected to show up lower than normal, right? So if we look at CPI inflation data for Thursday, CPI expected at 2.5 to 2.6%. If I look at Bloomberg or Market Watch, 2.5, 2.6% is what it's showing. We got the FOMC minutes report tomorrow. So, yeah, 2.6% on Market Watch. 2.1%. So expected at 2.6%, 0.1%. But honestly, prior to this, this actually went up a little bit over the last few days. This was 2.5% a week ago, or like a couple days ago when I checked it. I think it was 2.5%. So I feel like this has gone up a little bit. It's still 0.1% month to month for CPI on Thursday. But still, we also have a lot of Fed speakers on Thursday. We got Bowman, Jeff Schmidt, Patrick Harker, Austin Goolsbee, and more. And again, tomorrow we got the Fed minutes report. What I'm wondering is, when is the next semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress coming out? Like, typically one is in April or May and one is in February prior. All right, so look at NVIDIA here, chat. I might trade a little bit right now. Again, as of yesterday, we are now funded on multiple 5 funded accounts. We are green on every funded account that we have. So what I'm wondering is, does NVIDIA dip down a little bit here and reject at 102s? All right, so we're actually short here. Let me put this up. We jumped in a short position. We're slightly green on this thing. And now we're red, but we've already built up some profit here. I want to see if we can make a little bit more from this. There we go. Out. So we just made about $30 here on our funded account. This is an actual funded account. So now we have 5 funded accounts. We can't even trade combines anymore. We'll have to document some levels in the NQ, see where we want to watch. There's some big levels like 16.5, and then there's some other levels like 18. And just to clarify, CPI is not tomorrow. CPI is Thursday. And just to clarify, guys, whether you predicted a crash, correction, pullback, dip, whether you've been one of those ones predicting a crash every year for years now, you know, it's all love here. It's all good. As long as you're not toxic and trying to, like, troll in the chat, you know, you'll be banned forever. But as long as you're not that, you know, it's all good. It's all love here. I would say I'm the top 3 most wrong predictor in the world right now. Anyways. Yeah, we're watching Game of Thrones with my daughter. She's a teenager, so it's time for her to watch Game of Thrones. She just watched season 3, episode 9. If you know, you know, man. That's a sketchy. that's a rough. She cried afterwards. I'm not gonna ruin anything, but man. All right, guys. Apple at 185s. So Apple's still popping up. I want to see if NVIDIA breaks 102 right here. This 102 level is actually a big historical resistance area, and so I really want to see if it holds this level. Yeah, pawn it is. Good news, we'll cancel half the sell orders. No, I don't really do separate option streams. Yeah. Yeah, dude, she cried afterwards, you know. Because before it was funny. She was like, oh, you know. And my wife and I are looking at each other like, you know. Eesh. She's into it now, though. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm waiting for her to get to episode 2 of the 4th season, which is kind of like a happier note, you know. All right, guys. Nasdaq at 18,000. 18,000 here. I think there's a big psychological level for the Nasdaq also. We got a small little green trade from that last one. Here's 18K psychological level. Oh yeah, the ending was bad. Yeah. Yeah, because like she watched House of Dragon with us. And she got into it. She was disappointed like everybody else was regarding season 2. Like they were greedy with it. Now we gotta wait years for season 3. Like, come on now, man. Just all right. So the U.S. Department of Justice disbands its national cryptocurrency enforcement team, according to Reuters, citing a memo. Wow, look at this news that just showed up. Yeah. I guess that's good, right? Bitcoin over 80,000 now. Look at Bitcoin rise. Bitcoin over 80. Yeah, so we're up like 40 bucks actually on this trade. 5, 10, 15. Yeah, we're up like $35. Yeah, nothing goes up or down straight. 100% agree. Oh yeah, no, the ending definitely sucked, Justin. I'm right there with you, bro. What happened was D&D, they got the Disney contract. And so they were so desperate to like finish Game of Thrones. Look at the Nasdaq breaking over 18,000, 18K. Again, let's see if Nvidia can get over 102s. But yeah, they were so desperate to end Game of Thrones that they rushed season 8. They could have done a lot of things a lot better, for sure, 100%. I thought the battle was great, right? Like the battle in season 8, I thought that was great. I love that episode. I thought that was good. I thought the last like 2 episodes were bad, not good, rushed, just kind of. They got greedy, and then they got dumped from their Disney job anyway. So hopefully nobody hires them again. Oh yeah, speaking of dire wolves, right? So just a nice little prelude, or a nice little transition into this. Scientists, this is actually a true story. You can actually like see these guys. Scientists have successfully cloned multiple dire wolf puppies. They're like 5 months old, and they're like 80 plus pounds, 4 feet tall, and they're beautiful dogs, honestly. But scientists have successfully cloned 10,000-year-old dire wolf DNA. I mean, apparently they've never watched Jurassic Park movies, but it is kind of cool. You know, it is kind of cool. But this is actually a thing. Scientists have successfully done this, believe it or not. You can look it up. You can see a picture of it. Look, I'll show you guys a picture of the dire wolves. They have actually successfully cloned dire wolves. And this is a true story, too. Biotech company, Colossal Sciences, have created 3 dire wolf pups by using ancient DNA. I'm trying to find the pictures of it. There's a couple pictures of them. Look, here's one right here. This was 4 days ago. This is from Time magazine. That is a 10,000-year-old direwolf clone. You know, so very interesting. Yeah, I think the biggest thing you could do is train them for like defense. You know, if they're like Game of Thrones dogs, you know, I want one. You know, but still. Very interesting. All right, so we're getting a dip on the Nasdaq down under 18,000, under 18,000. Nvidia did reject 102s, you know, like 102 is a big level. Yeah, we couldn't quite break over it here, it looks like. Listen, we're just here reporting news, Constantine, you know. You guys know, for those that didn't know they cloned direwolves, especially if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you're welcome. You know, you kind of wanted to see that and learn about that this morning. That's what we're here for. You're welcome, guys. You know, that's what we do here. Let me change this song. I can't stand it. Yeah, we're just sitting tight waiting for other breaking news to happen here. We're here. We're waiting. Also, give me a follow on x.com. We do posts pretty regularly on Twitter. Breaking news, give you guys all the big news dropping in markets, stock news, finance news, economic news, all that good stuff. We do it live every day. If you want a place to get at breaking news pretty regularly, give me a follow. There's the link right there. Micron tells U.S. customers it will impose a tariff-related surcharge on some products from April 9th, according to Reuters citing sources. Uh-oh. All right, so the Nasdaq back under 18K. The big question, I think, one of the things pushing is Nvidia right now. One of the things pushing is Nvidia. I think we can also look at like Apple here, but I think Nvidia is right at this big milestone support or resistance level. I think Apple kind of is as well, the highs of the last few days. But I think it's more so Nvidia. You know, we can take a look at the SPY as well here and see the SPY is testing 520s, but yeah, no, so the same company that cloned the direwolf, they also are planning on bringing back 3 different other animals. So they say their justification for cloning is that they say that they plan to bring back and help endangered and recently extinct species, right? Like they say, the ones that they say they're going to bring back are, hold on, let me find it. They said, quote, "This massive milestone is the first for many coming examples demonstrating that our end-to-end de-extinction technology stack works," end quote. But they also bring back I'm trying to figure out here. I'm just going to use AI to look this up. I know they're thinking about bringing back the Liger, I think is what it was, and some other stuff. This is how good AI is. So Colossal Science is the company that recently announced the birth of direwolf pups through genetic engineering, is actively pursuing de-extinction of other several species, includes the dodo, the woolly mammoth, and apparently they've created woolly mice as well. So woolly mice. So they basically created like mice that have like really furry coats from woolly mammoth DNA. So they plan on bringing back woolly mammoths for some reason. The dodo bird, I guess, and the Tasmanian tiger. You know. Anyways, just a little fun little segue into other stuff this morning since the market's kind of boring here. All right, so Nasdaq's making a move up, testing that 18,000 level this morning. 18K this morning. It's at 17.9s right now. 17.9s. 18's a big level. Let's see if it gets over it. It's pushing it now. Let's see if it holds. Over 18K. All right, so we're testing 18,000. Having a hard time breaking over it now. We are really kind of having a hard time breaking over it. We're now over it, though. We're at 18,004 on the NQ. 18,004 now. Watch NVIDIA very closely. See if it can get over 102s. These are big milestone levels. We're slightly green. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they've got to pivot to dinosaurs eventually, right? All right, look at the Nasdaq push up. They've got to, you know. And honestly, like, I love the Jurassic Park movies. Just to preface what I'm about to say, I love the Jurassic Park movies, and so I kind of want them to do it. I want to see what a T-Rex looks like personally. The logical side of my brain says don't do it, but you know. I can't even lie. I kind of also do kind of want them to do it. I'd love to see what a dinosaur looks like. Anyways, Nasdaq's pumping up. It's over 18,000. It got over that level. NVIDIA about to test 102s, and I think 102, again, big milestone level for NVIDIA. Where's the high of the last few days? So here's the high of the last few days. This level up here is big as well, so we got to watch this. 18,360 basically is the level. Wait. Yeah, 18,360. 18,360 on the Nasdaq. It's the high of the last few days. I think that's a big spot. We're watching it. We're over 18 now. NVIDIA testing that 102 level. Let's see if it gets over it and holds. SPY still pushing up some too. Let's see what Apple's doing. I'm curious if Apple's rising up here. Apple up to 186. Apple is rising some. Yeah, you're probably right, Femi. Again, I'm not really. It's probably a better move not to do it anyway, though. All right, so we're still rising back up. We're at 1860s. Apple up there to 186. NVIDIA is still testing 102s, but kind of has a sideways action here. I'm not really understanding the pump. Well, markets don't go straight down. They're not going to go like this. They're going to go like this. Green day. Green day. You know? And so nothing guarantees the market. Sometimes they'll go like this. Green day, green day. Green day, green day, green day. You know? Like that's kind of how it goes. Nobody knows which direction the market is. If the market was ever too predictable, everybody would be rich. All right, so Chinese Premier Li says China's macroeconomic policies this year has fully taken into account various uncertainties and have sufficient reserve policy tools. All right, so we're moving up here. NVIDIA got over 102, still retesting it now. Let's see if this 1860 level holds, but might be 1850s. If this rejects here, we might change the level to 1850s, but it depends on if we get over it. Apple's still up there. IONQ, quantum stocks moving up as well. Alibaba's moving up too. Bitcoin's still up decently today. Again, is it time to buy the dip? Most people are bullish this morning. Out of almost 1,000 votes, 62% are bullish today. 38% are bearish. Yeah, I mean, living to laugh. I'm just covering news, brother. I'm not getting emotional about whatever it is. I'm not saying I agree with it, disagree with it, anything like that. I'm just covering news, bro. You know, I'm just reporting what they say. All right, guys. So again, Nasdaq hit 1860s. 1806, that is. Let's see if we can get over it, though. Market's starting to pump back. Are we back up, guys? So rejecting that 1806, the level we had on our charts. Let's see if that continues to hold here. This is why I gotta attack my levels better here. It's not gonna work every time, but yeah, it's too early to call it, I think, too. It depends on what news comes out. It depends on what happens with CPI, PPI, Michigan consumer sentiment, and inflation expectation data Friday. So it's too early to tell, in my opinion. But small caps are ripping. What is the Russell doing here? I haven't honestly looked at the Russell in a long time. I don't like the Russell at all. Russell's crashing with everything else the last few weeks. I'm having little baby sips in my coffee. All right, here's the retest of 1860s. JP Morgan now expects back-to-back interest rate cuts from the ECB in the next 4 meetings to reach a terminal rate of 1.4%, guys, 1.4%. All right, so we're still rejecting at 1806 on the NQ here. Nvidia coming down under 102s, or at least testing 102s right now. Apple pulling back. 186 is a level on Apple. And again, the Nasdaq has this big level up here, which is the high of the last few days at 18,360. 18,360. The question is, do you buy this dip here on the NQ since it is over 18,000? That's what I'm wondering. All right, so yeah, AMD, Nvidia, and Intel are part of the problem. Downgrade, according to Pawn. So you said AMD got a downgrade? Yeah, KeyBank downgrades AMD to sector weight from overweight. Yeah, so analysts led by John Vin downgraded AMD to sector weight overnight from overweight and reiterated 140 price target. Yeah, so the Harley-Davidson CEO stepping down. All right, so we're at 18,000 right here. I'm gonna buy this dip, small little baby dip here, small trade. See if we get a bounce at 18K. We're green on the day. We got like a decent little cushion here on the day, so we can take a small trade. See if we bounce at 18,000 right here. There we go. All right, I just gotta go ahead and take some profit there. That's a quick little bounce. We got it right where we wanted it at 18,000. So yeah, we're up almost $100 on this account already this morning. We'll see if we can continue this green today. I gotta order myself some more RAM for this new computer I bought. I forgot I only have like the stock amount of RAM, which I think is, I don't know if it's 16 gigs or what. We got 32 gigs stock on this thing. I'd like a little bit more than that though. Yeah, it's so split down the middle. Yeah, Bob at 105. $32 is a lot of RAM. The only thing though is like I run a lot of different stuff. Like you got to understand, like I'm streaming as well, so I'm running like different streaming software, tons of tabs, stock platform, super memory intensive, and so. All right, so we did bounce at 18,000 like we talked about. Nvidia under 102s again though, so we're reading the Nasdaq fairly well, but everything else, I don't know. Yeah, today's going to be an interesting day. I think Power Hour is going to be more interesting as well. Oof. Yeah, people say there's a correlation with me wearing a hat or taking the hat off. Or which one is it? Nvidia's still sideways though at 102s. Yeah, and again, I'm going to say this once, I'll say it again. Nobody freaking knows which way the market's going right now. Nobody knows if market's going up, down, sideways. Nobody knows if we're going to rebound today, if we're going to continue the crash today. And so it's fine to make predictions, just be, as long as you're respectful about it, not too forceful about it, like it's fine, you know. But nobody knows, variance is high. The unknown is certainly here right now. Depends on what the news comes. Depends on if we get good news today or if we get bad news. So I'm looking at this right now. EU countermeasures against 25% steel and aluminum tariffs to be fully in place according to prior reports by May 1st. A lot of stuff getting reported here. President responded that they are not looking at a pause in tariffs following a misleading report yesterday of a 90-day tariff pause. He also stated that tariffs could be permanent and there could also be talks, while he is not worried about tariffs driving trading partners into the hands of China, and said the U.S. cannot be taken advantage of any longer. U.S. Secretary Bessent said tariffs depend on negotiations, which will be tough, and the U.S. will not likely have any trade deals in place by April 9th to avoid retaliatory tariffs going into place. U.S. tariffs reportedly threaten almost $2 trillion of investment pledges by global companies, according to the Financial Times, and Apple is reportedly planning to send more iPhones to the U.S. from India to offset the high cost of China tariffs, according to the Wall Street Journal. Citing sources, MU tells U.S. customers it will impose a tariff-related surcharge on some products from April 9th, according to Reuters. Citing sources, and the company said that while the tariffs exempted chips, the tariffs applied to memory modules and SSDs. One of the sources noted China Trump threatened an additional 50% tariff on China if they do not remove the 34% tit-for-tat tariff on the U.S. by Tuesday. China's MOFCOM said China strongly opposes 50% additional tariffs and urges resolution of disputes with the U.S. according to Dialogue, while it said it will also fight to the end if the U.S. insists on these measures. The Chinese foreign minister on the tariff threat said China will take necessary measures if U.S. insists on waging a trade war and tariff war. China will fight to the end. They also added that the U.S. acts did not show willingness for serious talks, and that if the U.S. wants to talk, it will show an attitude for equality and respect. The EU Commission proposed a 25% tariff on U.S. goods to take effect May 16th, according to Reuters, citing a document. The president said trade with the European Union has to be fair and reciprocal, as well as noting the EU will have to buy energy from the U.S. as they are making tremendous progress with a lot of countries on tariffs. The EU spokesperson said the EU expects to present a plan for response to new tariff early next week. They are absolutely ready to discuss and negotiate. A lot more news coming out, but that's basically what I see right now. So, interesting. Yeah, again, so we kind of slowed down at this 1806 level. And again, once again, confirming some of the levels that I have on my charts. I had this 18.6 level on my chart prior. Feels good, man. I'm not bragging, by the way. I'm honestly just excited that the levels that I'm drawing on my chart are being as respected as they are. It's an exciting thing, I mean, for a trader, for sure. My trading has gotten much better, too. Yeah, like, just to put this in perspective, here's my trading since mid-March. We have had one losing day. Literally one losing day since mid-March. Or, I'm sorry, 2 losing days. And these are pulled directly from Top Step. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, we're running better than 90%, or better than 80% daily accuracy. Yeah, it feels good, man. People get mad if I say anything even slightly inferring I'm the top 3 greatest trader of all time ever in the world, but it feels good, man. Honestly, it feels really good. we'll see if we can keep building the system. But yeah, I'm excited about it for sure. Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I just never really liked I just never really liked the Russell as an investment. Like, I don't really like small caps as companies. I think they're too risky. Yeah, I mean, you're trying to put too much weight on gold short-term movements. Gold is probably going down because of renewed optimism in the U.S. economy based off of the rebounds that the market is seeing over the last 24 hours. It's probably why gold is dropping. As gold drops, the market is more optimistic, or as the market rebounds, gold is more optimistic. Or let me think of the best way to. As the market goes back up, the public and retail is more optimistic regarding the economy and markets. And so when there's more optimism regarding the economy and markets, people choose to buy gold less because gold is kind of a hedge against fear. And so, yeah, I hope that makes sense. Hey, thanks, Atlas. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you, sir. Gold about to dip anyway. It's already retraced 50%. Yeah, I mean, the time to buy gold, I love gold. I think gold's a great buy. Not telling you to buy it, though, because I'm not an investment professional and I'm not liable if you lose money and I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about and I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Don't copy me. With all that said and out the way, though, gold, one of the best long-term inflation hedges in the world, right? Definitely top 3. But the problem is that it's on a 5, 6, 7 year. How long has gold been trending up? Gold's been trending up, honestly, really since... gold's been trending up since, at the very least, 2019. So that's a 6-year uptrend. Maybe longer, if we zoom out more, to be honest. Yeah, gold, honestly, has been uptrending since 2016. So that's almost a 9-year uptrend for gold. That's not really my favorite time to buy it, unfortunately. So I just got to wait. The U.S. corporate high-grade bond sales restart as credit stabilizes, according to Bloomberg. All right, so the Nasdaq just got back over 18K. It's kind of going sideways for a little bit now. Apple had pulled back some short term. Nvidia is going sideways as well, right around that 102 level here. Walgreens had earnings this morning, but they did not give forward guidance because they're in the middle of an acquisition, I'm pretty sure, or something like that. All right, look at the Nasdaq pump back up. I want to see if this is news related. I'm curious. Let's take a look. All right, the Deputy Treasury Chief Falkender said bank overregulation moves activity to the shadow sector. Yeah, that's just what we need. Less regulation on banking. Palantir rip it up though. Palantir almost up to $83 a share. So we are seeing some big rebounds and stuff. All right, guys. Apple at 186s. So Apple kind of sideways too. Look at it. Part of me really wants to buy this dip in the Nasdaq, but see if I regret it. It's still early, guys. We still got an hour before the opening bell. I've been starting the stream a little bit earlier. Do you guys like it that I'm starting the stream early? Yeah, I mean, we could get another 4 years of gold run. That's absolutely true, right? But the FOMO there is not worth the risk, in my opinion. You could always get a 5 or 6 year. You could also get a 5 or 6 year downtrend. And so, again, for me, it's just not my favorite time to buy gold. Personally, I might be wildly wrong. Maybe it rips up in my face. That's true. Absolutely, could be true. But we could also get a 5 to 10 year downswing in gold that I'm stuck in for a decade. So I'd rather just wait and buy it when it's actually pulling back versus when it's ripping up. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. And again, if you want to help support the channel, again, check out TopStep. TopStep is what we are trading on today. We are green in every active funded account that we have right now. Feels good, man. Feels good. TopStep gives you a 50K demo, and if you want to learn to day trade, do not risk thousands of dollars of your own money. It just makes no sense. I love you. Have a good day. It just doesn't make sense. Most day traders lose. Doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow. Most day traders are going to lose. And so if you put up 5, 10, 20, 30 grand yourself, you're probably going to lose a lot of that. Makes no sense. Just makes no sense. Instead, try a funded account program. TopStep's the most legit one in the world. They give you a 50K demo. It's $49 a month plus tax. If you can make 3K in profit without losing 2K, reasonable 2 to 3 ratio, as long as you could follow their rules, they fund you 50K with a 90% split, and you get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in. And so that's a very similar reward to funding your own account. But the risk you're taking to do it is noticeably less. And when most day traders learn, it takes them years to really learn how to be profitable, and they usually lose money the entire time. It's called market tuition. Pay your market tuition this way. It's a lot cheaper to lose on TopStep. Learn how to trade. If you're good enough to pass it, you still get a 90% split once you're funded. But if you fail, your risk is noticeably less. And they've paid out almost $200 million. They fund thousands of traders. It's just a great way to learn. And in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. What you see me usually trading is the QQQ price action in futures. You can day trade it, very similar to day trading stocks. And again, if you want to check it out, they are an affiliate of mine. I am biased. I'm top 3 most biased trader of all time because I get paid by them. If you want to check it out, though, there's the link in chat. Great way to help support the channel. We appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see if we get some good action today day trading. We're slightly green so far this morning. Slightly green so far this morning. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had some. I've been eating Chicago deep dish pizza. I wish I had something like that when I first got started trading too. I lost thousands. I remember I saw the movie Big Short. Thought I was gonna be a prodigy savant. I thought I was gonna be like the robot guy from Grandma's Boy, but day trading guy. So I thought I was gonna be, you know, zooming around. Everybody's gonna be like, dang, look at John. He is just the greatest day trader of all time ever. Instead, I turned into top 3 worst trader of all time. But almost all day traders in the beginning lose money. That's just kind of how it goes. And so it makes no sense to fund your own account. I know people think they're gonna get rich and all this stuff, and part of that's due to marketing. But most day traders lose. You gotta just see it for what it is. Hey, what's up, Sam? Thank you, bro. Gold, man. I haven't really, like, I think Bitcoin honestly is one of those things that moves a lot with like technicals, but it could also just be a complete like wild card. Hey, bro. Hey, buddy. Hey, wait, stop. All right, guys, sorry. Yeah, honestly, the market's very flat, very choppy right now. We're kind of going sideways. I think the whole market's kind of apprehensive waiting until the opening bell hits. It's an interesting time in markets for sure. We'll see if the market surges or what happens here, but it's pretty quiet right now. All right, they say 70 countries have reached out to the president to negotiate new trade deals, according to Secretary Bassett, as of about half a day ago. Bro, HOAs are out of control, dude. HOAs are out of control, bro. Like, I don't know what gets behind old ladies in old age. Or sometimes it's guys, too, where they just don't have much going on, and they're like, you know what I want to do? I want to just be Karen-y about the most nonsense stuff out there. You know, like, let me just try to control everybody in my neighborhood because I'm unhappy. I think honestly, this happens regularly. Freaking HOAs, bro. I hate them. You know, I don't personally have any HOAs, but still. Buy a farm? No, for sure. That's a good idea. All right, chat. So we're now under 18,000 on the NQ. Apple at 185s, still sideways. Nvidia never really got over 102 and held. It's back down underneath it. Gold's still over 3K. It's kind of testing 3K now. I think one of the big levels for gold is obviously $3,000. It's just right there. Yeah, that's a big level. Yeah, I don't know why. Like, what makes people act like that? I could never imagine, like, caring what my neighborhood was doing that much to where I just sat around trying to critique and attack and criticize. It's just, I end up feeling bad for him, you know? Yeah, again, market's kind of flat. We got 50 minutes leading into the opening bell, guys. 50 minutes. Let's see if we get anything good. Look at all the other stuff going on today. All right, so the Thailand Stock Exchange yesterday temporarily banned short selling. All right, here's the Nasdaq coming back down here. Looks like it hit 17,950s right here, which we'll put out as a level. It's probably a better level than we had. We got 17.9s right here too. All right, here goes things coming back down now. All right, so we're bouncing right at 17,950. Here's that level. Apple about to hit the volume weighted average price 200 exponential here, so maybe we bounce some, but I'm taking it very slow and light. We're get a small cushion into the day right now, very small. We'll see if we can hold. Is the music too loud? Chat, let me know. Do you think the music's too loud? Yeah, do y'all, I mean, I'm sure a lot of this is shorts getting squeezed too, but I think if you're jumping in short after the Nasdaq is like something that you see a lot, and this is a very common movement pattern, is that we drop 25, 30%, 40%. And you always got some people that just refuse to accept the fact that we're going to bounce back and market crashes. They think we're going to have the worst crash in history, apparently. And so they keep kind of doubling down, tripling down on the downside. And then something that you'll see happen is that the market will start to go back up. And then they'll get even more desperate. They'll start doubling down on their shorts, adding to shorts, and that makes the market go up even higher, like even steeper angle on the upside. And shorts just get squeezed out. And then they're sitting here, like, usually, like, one of them, they'll end up, like, screaming manipulation and be like, manipulation, you know, or something like that. And so just be careful. I'm not saying you should buy it now. I'm not saying we don't continue down. I think it's possible we continue down. I don't think we're down enough to where this necessarily fits right now. But just understand, like, if we drop another 5%, 10%, you know, the likelihood that we're going to keep dropping more is pretty low. You know, pretty low. But anything could freaking happen. You never know, man. You never know. Is the music louder or too loud or no? What is the music? Just fine, all good. Yeah, good. Not loud enough. Okay, good. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow, that's nice. Pawn. I'm seeing that. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. All right, guys, we're getting closer to the opening bell here. Yeah, so we're getting closer. I'm trying to see any other big news coming out today, man. All right, so Bill Ackman says he is now, quote, advocating for a 30, 60, or 90-day pause before the tariffs are implemented tomorrow. He said, quote, some have misinterpreted my thoughts on tariffs. I am totally supportive of the president using tariffs to eliminate tariffs and unfair trading practices of our trading partners and to induce more investment in manufacturing in our country. I am advocating for a 30, 60, or 90-day pause before the tariffs are implemented tomorrow to enable negotiations to be completed without a major global economic disruption that will harm the most vulnerable companies and citizens of our country, end quote. Do you guys agree with this? All right, so we're rebounding back up over 17,950. Look at Nvidia starting to turn towards 120s here. So we're getting very close, very close. Yeah, so we're bouncing back up. Again, I'm trying to wait until we get closer to the opening bell to see if volatility kicks in a little bit. I do not want to force it too much. So this is the first dire wolf howl in over 10,000 years. Sounds like puppies, to be honest. And to a certain extent, it's like little gray wolves. All right, so we're testing the 17,950s now, testing 17,950s. Again, look at Apple come down under 185s. Taking a look at Tesla. Tesla pretty green on the day. It's at 240s, but it's still at a pretty low point overall, I think, right? All right, guys. So Pershing Square, so, yeah. There's strong will to come to coalition agreement today between German conservatives and social democrats, according to one of their newspapers. But yeah, Bill Ackman pushing for a 30, 60, or 90-day pause to tariffs. Have we crashed yet today? Nope. Not yet. Again, I think everybody's kind of waiting with their eyes open to see if we continue the crash down, though. That's kind of what's going on. I mean, these are my levels currently on the Nasdaq here. 17,950, 1860, 1806. That is 18060. Yeah, I mean, the market yesterday was one of the more volatile market days in history, I think. At least that's what some sources were saying. I haven't actually back-checked that yet, but yeah, I mean, the market opened up deep red and then rebounded all the way back up and went green and then pulled back a bunch, and now we're kind of in this middle road where we've rebounded a lot over the last 24 hours, but we're still in the middle of a 20+% drop in almost all major indices, and so it's a very interesting market right now. We'll see what happens. I'm curious to see what happens too. And again, chat, we have 40 minutes left until market opens. 40 minutes. Jim Cramer. All right, we're at 17,960s. Tesla's still bouncing back. I think we also got to watch Apple. I think the biggest stocks that I'm watching today, Apple, because of all the, like, Apple's margins are going to be hurt from these tariffs. I mean, this is one of the reasons Apple kind of led this downward push in markets, because of the implications of margins for Apple now with the tariffs. So I'm watching Apple. I'm definitely watching Nvidia as well. Nvidia right at that 102 level, which is the low of the last 7 months prior to this last week or so. You know, this 102 level, you can kind of see it here, was the low of the last 7 months. Honestly, though, Nvidia, I said this earlier, Nvidia got as low as 83s. I might have FOMO not buying it up at 83s for Nvidia. That's a pretty cheap spot for it. Yeah, so as of yesterday morning, it was the worst 3-day performance for the S&P 500 since October of 1987, which was Black Monday. A lot of people correlated yesterday to Black Monday, but we honestly had a pretty green day. One of the ironic parts is that Jim Cramer said yesterday would be Black Monday, and the market honestly ended up being slightly green. All right, so we're still holding over 17,950. Here's the 200 exponential right at 17.9s. I'm just kind of waiting here, chat. We don't really have much going on. The market's definitely a little bit slower today. I'm waiting for, we got the red book come out at 7.2% today. FOMC minutes due. So yeah, so we got the new Squawk Bank preview for the FOMC minutes. They said the minutes are on an account of the March 19th meeting based on info that was available at the time of the meeting. Therefore, these minutes will not incorporate the more aggressive tariff announcement from President on April 2nd. However, it will incorporate the slowdown of the survey data heading into the meeting with consumer confidence tumbling due to tariff policy uncertainty and its implications for the economic outlook. Any commentary and debate around the potential impact of the president's touted policies at the time will be eyed. The Fed also announced a slowdown to its balance sheet runoff. So this is quantitative tightening is what they're talking about, slowing down. So yeah, he's talking about slowing QT down. And again, what they did is they reduced QT 80% for treasuries, and they kept MBS QT the same is what happened. Fed Chair Powell said policy is clearly restrictive in the press conference, but has since said modestly restrictive. So discussions around restrictive policy currently is, or discussions around the neutral rate will also be noteworthy. So we'll see what they say during this meeting here. Yeah, so again, and then Japan's Nikkei surged over 6% yesterday at the opening bell too. So look at the market bouncing back up. Nikkei. I always get it wrong. I say Nikkei. It's Nikkei. 225 index. Skip the gym today. All right, so look, we're testing 18,000 again. Nvidia now over 102s. It's testing that 102.33 level that we hit earlier today. Apple bouncing back up slightly as well here. We got 30 minutes until the opening bell, chat. 30 minutes. Look at us running into this level. Again, there's 18,000 on the chart. Look at that. Coming back down a little bit here. Yeah, today's one of those days where I really want to trade. I don't know what kind of trading I'm going to get today. I hope it goes well. But today's one of those days where I think the volatility might be, like, I might actually like the volatility today. We'll see, though. Yeah, I mean, most people in investments are going to be losing money unless you got out in December like I did. But again, like, the people who lose the most in this typically are ones that get emotional and sell. Within a year or two, we're probably going to be back where we were. Maybe not. We might not. We might keep down. I don't know. But people who lose the most in these crashes are people who get emotional and sell, and then they miss out on the rebound. So they sell at the lowest point, and then they miss out on the resurge back up. So you just got to understand that, like, long-term DCA strategies are usually the right move in these situations, but it might take time. It might take 5+ years, might take a month, might take less than that. You never really know. Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting today. I don't know how hard I'm going to swing. It depends on the setups we get and kind of what the opening bell treats me like. So we're just going to sit tight and wait after the opening bell. We got less than 30 minutes still, though. So we're going to be day trading live at the opening bell, so stick around. We are testing that 18,000 level again. This is the retest of it. I do see some optimistic things for Nvidia up to 102s. We got this level right here, this 102.33 area. That makes sense to watch, I think. We're also following a lot of stuff. Gold's still testing a 3K as well. We got Microsoft sitting at 364s. Google at 153s. Meta at 530s. Apple at 185s. Netflix 895s, Palantir at 83s. Nvidia at 102s. forgetting Amazon. Amazon up to 183s again today too. All right, so we're testing 18K. Remember, the big level I'm watching is 18,360 here. This is the high of the last like few days up here. 18,360. We are currently at 18s now, so we still got a ways to go. But that's a level on the NQ that I'm definitely watching here. See if we can get over 18 and hold. Again, Nvidia about to break this level, it looks like. John, why are we up today? I mean, there's not really any reason. We're probably up today because we're down so much over the last few days that eventually, like, we're gonna bounce back. You know, like eventually we're gonna come back. I don't know. I don't know if that's now or if that's later, but eventually the market's gonna bounce back. It's not gonna go down forever, despite what bears say. And so we're just kind of waiting to see. I don't know. Relief rally. Yeah, I mean, we could continue down for sure today. I mean, it's certainly possible. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but it's definitely possible. Nvidia up to 102.50s right now, testing 102.50s. Got up to 102.40s in pre-market. A lot of stuff's rallying back up. It doesn't mean it's gonna hold though, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. We got 25 minutes. Looking at our poll numbers, 62% of people think the market's gonna be bullish today. Out of 1,500 plus votes, 38% think bearish. Yeah, essentially what happened, like just to give you guys some like the story of the news that's happened over the last few days. Essentially what's happened is that yesterday market basically was in the middle of a crash. Somebody put out something that said that there was going to be a 30-day pause, or it might have been a 90-day pause on the tariffs. This was just a rumor, but the market media took off on this rumor that there was going to be a pause to tariffs, and the market ended up rallying all the way back to, again, like I said, that 18,360 level, 18,360s, and everybody thought that the market crash was over. And then it came out that it was just a rumor, right? And so the market kind of pulled back a little bit, but we honestly still held a lot of the gains that we made during that rally. So we haven't actually given back a lot of the gains that we made during that rally. And now it is Tuesday. Market's still gapping up a little bit. And I think what we have to watch now is we have CPI inflation data on Thursday. We got PPI inflation data on Friday. And so those are the big reports this week. Inflation data, all the more relevant with the current landscape of economics and markets right now. And I think that's what we're looking at now, is what happens with CPI inflation data this upcoming Thursday. That's a big report, a big release you probably want to pay attention to. And again, we're going to be streaming it live like we always do here. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. We're going to cover all this stuff live as we do. But it's a big time, a big day in markets. Y'all be careful. That's all I'm saying. And we'll see if the market crash continues, or if we continue down, or we go back up. Tomorrow we got the Fed minutes report. Friday we've got PPI inflation, Michigan consumer sentiment. Thursday's the big one though. Thursday we have CPI inflation data. So we hit 102.50s now on Nvidia. Now we're pulling back a little bit. You can kind of see us fall under 18,000 on the NQ. Apple dipping down some as well. It's at 185.20s. So some stuff, small pullbacks happening right now, but we're all pretty green on the day still. New Amazon AI to build voice and agents. They're called futures because originally you're betting on the future price of commodities by farmers. Farmers are selling speculative contracts on commodities like corn. And people would buy those speculative contracts betting on the future price of commodities, locking in their yield so that they weren't so variance heavy in their farming profits. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I say it once, I'll say it again. Like, being permanently bearish is dumb. Markets are going to go up long term. Like, perma-bears, people who are permanently bearish in markets, it's the smallest edge you could ever have in anything. Like, look, all right, look at this big rip, guys. Wow, look at the Nasdaq pump. As I say that, Nvidia up to almost 103s, and now look at this fallback down here. Whoa. All right, so China initiates WTO disputes regarding reciprocal tariffs. All right, so the U.S., the president, let me see if we got any other news. That was weird. All right, so order pushes for coal to power AI data centers. Senior White House official order calls on energy secretary to determine if coal used in steel production is a critical mineral. So president said, quote, "I just had a great call with acting president of South Korea. We talked about their tremendous and unsustainable surplus tariff, shipbuilding, large-scale purchase of U.S. LNGs." I think this is what's moving markets, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, this is what's moving. So apparently a good call with South Korea president. Yeah, I mean, Kevin, in that situation, you would just be bearish, not permanently bearish. If you stay permanently bearish in the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, the Russell, gold, you are going to lose boatloads of money long term. You know, it's, you know, again, it's not hard to prove this thesis either. Here's the Nasdaq, or here's the S&P 500 over a long period of time. It's currently at 50.62. You know, it opened up 100 years ago at 17. Thousands of percent gains. So I mean, I know you're trolling, but I just don't want anybody in the chat to actually believe that. Nvidia at 103s now, pushing up big on this South Korea news. The Nasdaq's pushing up again. The big level of the Nasdaq is 18,360s. Yeah, most people are not actual perma bears. Most people are just bearish sometimes. There's a difference between thinking the market's good on the bear side short term and thinking the market's always good on the bear side long term, being permanently bearish. There's a huge difference, and like the biggest statistical edge in markets is on the upside, despite the fact that we're now in a crash, correction, anything like that. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you don't get compound interest. There's just a lot of reasons. And like most of the time, the people that are bearish are honestly just like kind of just frustrated that they missed out on the upward moves, right? Like, if you thought the market was sketchy 4 years ago and you missed out on this massive AI boom that the market's seen where everybody else and their grandmother made money on it, you might feel kind of mad about that. And that might kind of make you hate bulls because you missed out on the big gains that's happened, so forth and so on. But like, the market's gonna have to come back down eventually. Look at the Nasdaq pump though. Yeah, so again, the president said, quote, I just had a great call with acting president of South Korea. We talked about their tremendous and unsustainable surplus, tariff, shipbuilding, large-scale purchases, and more. No, 100%. A lot of people think it's cool to be bearish. And again, like, there is money to be made on the downside. There absolutely is, right? But the difference, though, is that you can't, like, okay, again, last year, the year before that, we had all these bears telling me every other week that the market was going to crash, that the market was going to correct, right? And some of them might be trying to even gloat right now, like, hey, you know, look, we crashed, haha. The problem is that we're still well above where a lot of them predicted the market crash would happen. And so they're still wrong. Like, we're still way above that. And that's like the nature of the market, is like upside. The upside, you can basically buy any healthy company for the most part. Not any healthy. Let me say this better. On the upside, you can buy most broad market indices. And if you sit on it long enough, you're going to make money, right? The opposite is true to the downside. All right, guys, Nvidia pushing up to 104s, almost 104s. Apple at 187s. And I say this every day because it's important for people to understand, especially right now on these big downward swings that we've seen. That's the biggest statistical edge market ever gives you. And you just want to be careful not to get, like, talked into being on the other side of that market edge. It's a sucker's bet. It really is. Anybody that understands finance recognizes that. And most of the time, the people that don't admit what I just said are true are just people that missed out on the big gains the market gives you on the upside. Let's see. Again, we're getting very close to this previous high up here at 18,360. 18,360, that's the level. It's the high of the last, like, few days. Oh, the market crashed. No, I got out of the market in December because I thought the market would correct. And a crash is a correction, right? Like, I got out in December. Y'all will never hear the end of it because I actually almost top picked this crash. Feels good, man. Feels good. And so there's obviously a crash going on. It's really been good for business for me too. Like my channel's grown a lot during this crash, covering it, talking about it. But just with that said, even though we're crashing right now, absolutely, just don't mistake where the market's going to be in 10 or 15 years, which is way above where we're at now, almost certainly. So you just want to recognize, like, yep, we're crashing. It happens every 10 to 15 years. Sometimes it happens more regularly than that. Some people would call 2020 a crash too, because we dropped, like, I think it was like 28%, 27, something like that. I'll have to check. Depends on when you call the last crash. Some people are going to call 2008 the last crash too, so that can vary. But yeah. Nasdaq's still pumping up. I got out in December because the Nasdaq was up 105% in 2 years. So, like, even with me recognizing the biggest gains on the upside, that's not sustainable. You know, like the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, they're going to average about 10% over a long period of time. And so whenever we have these big thrusts up percentage-wise, I'm usually like, okay, well, a correction's coming, you know. And that's not hard to, like, foresight into, but you just got to be smart about it. All right, so we do have some quotes. The president's admin telling people to be patient with the economy. Negotiations could be ongoing through June, according to Henrich. It's going to be a busy April, May, maybe into June, Treasury Secretary Bessent says, as other countries offer deals. So that news article just came out. And again, guys, if you want to follow along with this here, so we cover all this breaking news on our x.com page. All right, so the ECB's Holzman says he sees no reason to deviate from his prior view on rates in the context of recent tariff announcements. All right, so we're going to do our breakdown post here. Yeah, so the aggressive tariff measures have heightened fears of rising inflation and a potential global economic slowdown. All right, so again, we're going to do our post here. If you want a one-stop shop where we cover everything going on in markets here, chat. We usually do one of these posts a day talking about like everything going on. And we got that post done today here. We're about to post it live right now. I'll put the link up if you want to check it out. Give me a follow on X. So here's that post today. Yeah, so here's that post if you want to check it out. Give me a follow on x.com. We cover all the stuff live as it happens here. There's the link right there. Again, the opening bell's getting close here, guys. The opening bell's getting close. We got 10 minutes. There's that x.com page. Again, give me a follow there. Completely free. Doesn't cost a penny. We cover all the breaking news in markets for the most part during the first, at least for the first few hours into the day. We cover all the stuff dropping live that might influence the opening bell. One of the 3 best market psychologists in the world. Definitely top 3 market psychiatrists in the world. And I prescribe market news, I guess. Right? Appreciate the love, guys. All right, guys. Apple still testing 187s here. Nvidia over 102 still. Hit 103.50s at highs today. Nvidia, honestly, rebounded all the way back from $83 at the lows. We had Walgreens posted earnings as well and some other stuff too, but Microsoft has bounced all the way back to 370s. Meta almost back up to 545s, getting close. This is a big rebound. So here's the only thing though, like this is a pretty large rebound. So like usually crashes, you go something like this, right? This is a big rebound. This is more like this. You know what I mean? So this is a different look here. It doesn't mean we're not going to keep going down, but this is a very large rebound back up. We'll see what happens though. Gold is kind of iffy. 8 minutes left, chat. 8 minutes left. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. The president also said we are waiting for a quote. We are waiting for a call from China. It will happen, end quote. All right, so just to read you guys the full quote from the prez. And again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any of this. This is one of the reasons the market has started the rebound back up this morning. He said, quote, I just had a great call with acting president of South Korea. We talked about their tremendous and unsustainable surplus, tariff shipbuilding, large-scale purchase of U.S. LNG, their joint venture in Alaska pipeline, and payment for the big-time military protection we provide to them. They began these payments during my first term, billions of dollars. For all news reasons, their top team is on a plane heading to the U.S. and things are looking good. We are likewise dealing with many other countries, all of whom want to make a deal with the U.S. Like with South Korea, we are bringing up other subjects that are not covered by trade and tariffs and getting them negotiated. Also, One-stop shopping is a beautiful and efficient process. China also wants to make a deal badly, but they don't know how to get it started. We are waiting for their call. It will happen. This is what's rebounding markets back up. And I'm not usually one to cover politics. I'm really not. But they're so market moving right now, more so than they have been in years, that I gotta have to cover these to follow finance right now, right? Are you anticipating a crash? I think we've already crashed. So the market's already down. Like the Nasdaq's already dropped what, 26, 27%. So that's already a crash. Like that's a crash. Don't get it twisted. That is a crash. Now, as for whether we continue down today, it's still yet to be seen. Most markets are still up pretty big this morning. The Nasdaq, Nvidia, Apple, and so most markets are green right now. Now, whether the crash continues is a different story. I don't freaking know. Nobody knows. Yeah, and again, so I got out in December, if you guys remember, and like, look, so let's take a look at where I got out on the market. All right, Chad, we got 5 minutes left. Here's the, look at the green push happening right now. Look at the green push. So we got out in most of our investments. December, here, somewhere around here. I don't know. It might have been around here somewhere. I don't know exactly where. I can't remember, but it was somewhere around here. Feels good, man. Feels good. A lot of stuff just pushed up at the MOC. So Nvidia popped up to 104s. Amazon popped up to 185s. Microsoft up to 370 plus right now. 370 plus. Nasdaq pushed up. Very interesting opening bell today, guys. Very interesting open. We're already slightly green on the day here. Not a huge amount, but we are slightly green on the day. We'll take it. We're gonna have Nvidia and Apple up on our charts. No, he didn't talk. Yeah, again, when I got out in December, it's mostly because the Nasdaq was up 100 and something percent in 2 years straight. And again, like this is under the context of the Nasdaq, the S&P, they're usually going to average 8 to 10%. And so when we have a couple years in which we're averaging huge percentages, like 5x more than we normally do, that usually means at least a correction is coming. Now, did I think we'd crash down big? No, but I didn't start adding back either. And so very glad I didn't. I had a couple people ask me consistently throughout the crash or drop, like, hey, are you buying back now? Are you buying back now? If you remember, one of the things I regularly say is, no, I'm not. I'm waiting for confirmation first, and we just don't have any yet. This is the first day of some confirmation on the upside. And so we'll see what the day ends like, but yeah. I mean, we backtracked a few years for sure. But at this point in time, we are basically where we were. Just to put this into perspective, where we're at now is where we were in September of last year, in 2024. In September of last year, the Nasdaq was at, like, just for perspective, right? In September 2024 and August of 2024, Nasdaq was at 18 ones, 18 threes, 18 fours, and that's where we're at now. We're at 18 ones. So it's all about context. You can frame it however we want, but Palantir at 84s. Right, yeah. I mean, if we really look at this, like, I'm not going to put a weekly chart up because it's I'm going to have too many lines on my chart. But when I go back here, right, if I put a weekly chart up on a different thing, like, again, the Nasdaq is basically where it was mid last year, right? Like, April, May, June, July of last year, we're basically where we were then. Like, yeah, you could also look at the highs from 2022, but you got to understand 2022 to 2023 was a bear year. And so it took us a little while to get over that, but we are basically where we're at in April, May, June, July, August of 2024 right now. So we basically gave back, you know, a year of market gains, and that's if we don't bounce back. So just to put the context out there, we got 10 seconds into the opening bell, chat. 10 seconds. Whew, let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. 5 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button to make sure you're caught up on stream and not delayed. Here. There is the opening bell here, guys. There's the opening bell. All right, let's watch Nvidia. Apple turning down at the opening bell a little bit, at least at the start. It doesn't mean it's going to go down, but Apple dropping a little bit since the open started. Nvidia actually green since the opening started. Amazon pulling back a little bit since the open. Meta pulling back a little bit. Apple dipping. Nvidia holding though. Palantir pushing up. Apple at 186. Meta retracing. Where's the VIX at, man? I forgot to look at the VIX. VIX hit 60s at the highs. It's now down to 40. All right, Apple and Nvidia starting to turn down a little bit. Doesn't mean anything yet. We're still way too close to the opening bell here. Still a little early here. Apple actually bouncing up a little bit on its second candle since the opening bell. We're heading back up. We're at 187s. See if we form an opening range here that we can attack. That's something I'll definitely watch for, but I gotta wait a couple minutes first. Yeah, I mean, one of the things to understand is that a lot of people think last quarter one of 2025 is going to be a negative losing GDP quarter. We'll get that data not next week, but the week after that. But that's an important context of markets right now in terms of everything going on. All right, guys, Apple shooting up. It's almost to 188. 187.50s. One of the stocks that's reacting really negatively to the opening bell is Amazon. Amazon down to 182.50s here. Nvidia dipping down to 103s right now, 103s. Again, Meta opened up somewhat red. Amazon opened up pretty red. Apple starting to bounce back, but Nvidia is also dipping down some too here. What about Tesla? Tesla opened up red too. Although most of these are still green on the day. My hands are off right now. I see a lot of blue chips going up and a lot of them going down, and I just don't want to get caught in like a reversal. Again, we were getting closer to this 18,360 level that we've talked about a couple different times. That's the high of the last like couple days, I think. This 18,360 level. I think it's the high from yesterday, and it's the high of the last couple days. Yeah, I'm waiting right now. I'm not messing with anything yet. It looks green though, to be honest. Like right now, we had Meta rip back up, Palantir moving up, Tesla moving up, VIX going down, Nvidia heading back up some, and Apple is already slightly green since the opening bell, but it doesn't mean much. We're only 3 minutes into the open, so we gotta wait. Yep, there it goes, testing that 18.2 level. A lot of big opening range for a lot of different stuff here. And so we're going to attack the opening range today, hopefully. But we're honestly very sideways right now. Y'all just be careful. And again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. While we're waiting to trade, if you want to check out Top Step with me, Top Step gives you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you want to learn to day trade, this is probably the best way to do it. No PDT and futures. You can day trade the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, gold, currencies in some ways. No PDT rule, and you can day trade the S&P, the Nasdaq, basically the SPY and Q price action. Most day traders lose. If you put up your own money, thousands of dollars, you're probably going to lose it learning to day trade. And most day traders, it takes them years to learn, and they lose the entire time as they're learning. Instead of funding your own account thousands and basically giving away money to the market, try a funded account program first. It teaches you how to trade under pressure. They give you a 50K demo. If you can make 3K in profit without losing 2K first, following their rules and conditions, they fund you 50K with a 90% split, and they pay out millions. They paid out almost 200 million. If you fail, you only lose $49 for the base one. It's not the end of the world. And then you get a practice account with real-time data to learn on. And so the value's there. And then you get to keep your first 10K in profit. So your risk is small. The reward's similar to funding your own account. It's just a great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose, and pay that market tuition this way for much less usually than funding your own account thousands of dollars. At the same time, though, I'm not an investment professional. I can't guarantee anything. Nobody knows what to do here, and the market's very risky right now. So just be careful. Understand CFTC 4.41. Understand I get paid by them. I'm biased because they're an affiliate of mine, so I am biased. Some would say I'm the top 3 most biased ever. Be safe. Link is in the description if you want to check it out. Market's turning here. Did reject that 18.2 level that we had on our chart. Starting to turn back down. I don't know what to do here with markets, honestly. I'm just kind of I'm waiting. We got an opening range right now that we can look at, but I'm going to look at Apple and Nvidia to see how they move first. It looks red. Apple's very sideways. So we got a big red candle here, big red candle. We'll try to buy this up, but see if we can catch something here, but I'll add to it, but see if I can cut a piece of this, lock it out. Got one contract here. I just got to be careful. I'm trying to see if I can catch a bounce right here, but all right, we took half off, took the other half off too. So we ended up making money on that transaction, but it wasn't a lot. I should have waited to buy this 18.6 level that we had on our charts already. There's the bounce. A little impatience, but green nonetheless just now, but could have made more. All right, so we got that bounce right there at 1860s too, man. I should have held that. Yeah, so I'm not going to buy this retest. Could have made a little bit more at that bounce level, but it's all good. I just got to sit around today, man. No, I'm not gonna stream that. The Greer speech, no, I'm not streaming that. It's not big enough. I don't know what time it is either. I'm gonna short this. There we go. So we ended up making small gains. I could have held that a little bit longer. I think I got out too quickly here. Maybe not. Let me see. Yeah, I could have held it. The volatility is still very high. Tesla all the way down to 240s this morning. Amazon all the way down to 180s. It's something that the market's been dragging down. Apple, since the opening bell, has been like mostly flat, built an opening range. So Apple's one of those that I'm watching the closest. Like you can kind of see this opening range here between the 200 exponential and this 187.50 level or so on Apple. So this is an opening range I'm watching very closely here. You can kind of see this opening range right here on Apple. And Apple has been highly, highly influential over markets. And so this is an opening range I'm paying attention to. We start to dip underneath this or above this, it's going to influence my sentiment and direction with my day trades and indices at least, right? So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Carl, that's pretty accurate. I mean, that's what I do. I watch all the big blue chip companies to see what they're doing. It depends on what, like sometimes Nvidia's moving markets, sometimes Apple's moving markets, you know. Sometimes Amazon. So it just depends on what's moving stuff. And it might be a different stock. Like Nvidia has moved the markets a lot the last couple years. But, you know, lately Apple's kind of moving markets too. So you can see Apple rebounding back up towards the top of that opening range. And you can see the Nasdaq kind of following suit here. Look at Apple. Nvidia following it up too. All right, we're towards the top of this range. See if this drags the market up. I'm watching Apple close. A lot of stuff's bouncing back too. Tesla back up to 244s. Honestly, the percentage movement's very big today, guys, so just be careful. Nvidia bouncing back up too. Yeah, I don't really think we have anything else in terms of economic data going live today either. I think that's basically it. We got daily speaking at 2. That's basically it, yeah. All right, look at Nvidia up to 104s. Interesting spot. Yeah, my hands are off. I'm watching Apple's pulling back down a little bit. It could bounce at the VWAP here and then go back up. We got Nvidia at 104s. So again, I'm not really doing anything right now. Not until like maybe if Apple breaks the opening range and continues up, then I might consider something. But Apple's just chopping in that opening range, and so I'm worried we're just gonna get choppiness as of now. And right as I say that, look at us come back down here. So I'm not jumping to any directional bias yet. We'll see. We're only 15 minutes in. So we're heading up some more here. Maybe Pawn was right. So we're up to almost 105s now. Watching Apple. It is fighting support at that VWAP level. Nvidia pushing up too. Google up. Tesla back up to 245s. Meta up to 544s. Amazon even rebounding back up some here. So all right, so we're testing that high of the day at 18.2s now. Yep, here we go. All right, over 18.2s. Let's see if we hold. We tap the highs, but Apple's still not convinced here yet, to be honest. Yeah, I'm being very careful right now. I see Amazon coming back down a little bit, Meta falling down quick. I'm going to short this, very small. See if we can catch a little red action here, but it's definitely iffy. Take 2 contracts. Back down to slightly green. Come on, give it to me. A little bit more. There we go. Took half off there. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest out here. Small little gain, and we got out of there quick, as we should have, which is good. Up about 100 on the day. Very small, but green nonetheless here. I still think we might come back down more based off of what Apple's doing here, but Nvidia could also spike above this high of the day at 104.80s and drag this higher. Apple's turning down. Meta had a big drop, but it's kind of retraced back up there. CNBC's Faber on Apple says you can fit 200K iPhones onto a... CNBC's Faber on Apple says you can fit 200,000 iPhones onto a 747 jet, and that is exactly what they're doing, getting iPhones out of China as fast as possible. All right, so yeah, there's the dips. I should have held that short position, man. But here's the pullback that I thought would happen. 186 is now for Apple. Apple testing that 200 exponential. We could, I mean, this doesn't mean we're going to keep going down. We just have such a tight opening range for Apple here too. Like, this is one thing that I think everybody should pay attention to. I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but here's the opening range for Apple. You can kind of see we've tested the same range over and over and over again. And so we might come back up for Apple. We might continue breaking down, but I'm watching this opening range very closely right now. All right, Apple bouncing back up. Look at this. That's almost 187s. 187s. Apple up to Nvidia is still holding at 104s too. All right, so the White House economic advisor Hassett says getting ready to present a plan to U.S. president on who and when with regards to tariff talks, according to news. U.S. prioritizing Japan and South Korea in tariff talks. All right, so we're testing the top of that range here. Look at Apple testing the top of that range. And we just broke the opening range for at least a second on Apple. I'm going to buy this. And I'm going to cut that immediately, attacking that range. So we're up over $100 now, which is good. But we got that opening range break here, but it's small. Still got to wait. Hey, what's up, Tiny? Hey, nice, Tiny. Yeah, and look, now Apple, again, breaking over that opening range level that we talked about all morning here. And look at the Nasdaq pump back up. So we did crack over that opening range. Let's see if the rest of the markets in Mag 7 stocks follow it. This level up here is very interesting also, guys. This level right here, this 18,360 is the high of the last few days. It depends on whether Apple retraces back down and stays within a pretty tight opening range. Like, just because it broke the range doesn't mean we're going to go up automatically here. And so it depends on whether Apple holds above this now or comes back down. All right, guys. So Apple churning higher here. Apple churning higher, but we're still not quite there yet. You can see how similar, like, you know, people always want to day trade stocks for some reason, but like look at Apple right here, and then look at the NQ right here. So you can get exposure to trading the most volatile stocks. Day trading futures is one of the reasons a lot of people should try Top Step. Look how similar that is. I can day trade that left side, no PDT rule in futures on Top Step. They give me a 50K demo. If I can make 3K in profit without losing 2K first, following their rules, they fund me 50K, 90% split. At this point in time, I have 5 funded accounts on Top Step that I can withdraw and make money from if I'm good enough as a trader. No PDT rule. And if I fail the challenge, I lose 50 bucks. It's not the end of the world. It's much less than most day traders end up losing trying this out. And so understand it's a great way to learn how to day trade, as well as get exposure to day trading stocks and get around the PDT rule. If you want to check it out, link is in the chat. Understand I'm not an investment professional. They're an affiliate of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them. Don't copy me. No idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. And yeah. Oh, dude, I bet you a bunch of people day trade Apple, realistically. Especially right now when it's moving markets like it is. It's too early to tell, though, guys. One thing that we're seeing, like, look, here's the Nasdaq since the opening bell. Opening range. Here is Apple since the opening bell. You know, opening range, a little bit higher now, but still pretty similar. And so we're flat since the opening bell. Doesn't mean much yet. Doesn't mean much yet. You know, especially considering yesterday's crazy movements. Like, we could obviously turn and come back down here. So y'all just be careful today, man. I don't know what we're gonna get, but yeah, I'll pin this to the top of the page too. All right, so South Korea says it will not fight back against U.S. tariffs and seeks to negotiate a new trade deal. All right, so we're starting to break the top of this opening range finally here, guys. We're at 18,250s, 18,250s. Nvidia at 105s right now, 105s. Yeah, Apple's one of the most day traded things in existence. That's probably true. All right, so we're starting to head back up still, guys. Look at this, 18,250s, chat, 18,250s. All right, here's that opening range break. Nasdaq pumping up right now. Up. Let's see if we keep creeping up. Here's the high of the last 2 days. Again, 18,360 right here. High of the last 2 days on Nasdaq. Do we keep running here, guys? I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it down. I know I'm shutting it down a little bit early today, and that's all right. But this is my trading, guys, over the last month. We are on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-day green streak in our 50K funded account. 6-day green streak. You know, I'll take it. Green is good, chat. We've only had 2 losing days in the last 13. You love to see it. You love to see it. I'm going to get out of here. Listen, y'all be good. Have a great day. Y'all be safe in this market. I don't know what the market's going to do. We'll be back tomorrow bright and early. Yeah, that'll be it for the day, guys. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Again, just be smart. Be safe. Who knows what the market's going to end up doing today, guys. So y'all just be good. Be safe. Yeah, y'all be good. Be safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early. See what the market gives us today, guys. Again, trade safe.